Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to an episode that we have traveled 2 years almost to bring you this. We are bringing you something that took us blood, sweat, and tears to get this in. We had to sit down and watch 23 movies that range from amazing to godright awful Guardians of the Galaxy 2 to bring you this episode. So, if you have been following Games My Mom Found for the last, almost 2 years, almost every month we would record, or sometimes more, we would go and bring you MCU movies that we would then review, because somebody almost exactly 2 years ago had this wonderful idea that he was going to cover all 23 movies that he regretted shortly, like about 6 months into it.
It wouldn't have been 23 yet. They wouldn't all been out.
Right, yeah.
No, Far From Home was already out when I started.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah,
you might be right.
Because I had actually started this. The idea came to me when I heard Disney Plus was coming out and everything was going to be on Disney Plus. I'm like, well, this is a perfect way to do this. And before I get ahead of myself, I should say, I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Ready for the journey to be over, Michael K. Hughes.
And I am very, very tired, Bill Tucker.
I didn't even know if we were going to finish this project because multiple times things had happened. Like, I bought a house during this. Bill's wife had a kid. Like, Mike bought a house and, went through. But, like, we just...
And he's gone.
Just like that.
Yep. He got Thanos snap.
I think we're good. We're safe. He got Thanos snap.
Mike, if you can hear us, you cut out completely.
Yeah, it's because I closed Skype completely.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
You guys must have got the gauntlet and blipped me back in, so...
Yep. I'm not sure where you cut out.
Thanks, Tony.
That's okay. I think I know when I stopped talking, because I was listening. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Editing, I'll fix whatever I have to.
That's good.
So apparently you can close Skype just by hovering on the bar with your mouse and clicking it.
Sure.
That's what great. I did. I was moving it, and then all of a sudden it went away.
I think you were talking about Disney Plus and everything coming to that.
Right.
Okay. Disney Plus is what started this whole idea. When I found out that was going to be a thing, that's what inspired me to do this insane idea. That I just don't know.
Sounds about right.
That tracks for sure.
And Bill fought against Disney Plus for the longest time.
I did. I really did fight against it. I don't want to give more money to the mouse ears, but here I am. The son now, yesterday watched 2.5 hours of Mickey and the Roadster Racers, and I'm like, oh no, no more money into the evil corporation. But that's it. We all have barcodes, so.
I still love the bit in the Simpsons movie where Bart has a bra on his head. He's like, I'm the head of an evil corporation, and now they own Fox and all that stuff.
It's really funny.
Hey, they already know what you're doing. I was thinking about how I wanted to buy a deck of cards, and I didn't say it, and all of a sudden I got an advertisement for bicycle deck of cards. So I'm like, well, okay.
That's very funny. I've had situations where I've said words, and I know evil Amazon was listening, and all of a sudden I start getting ads for the thing that I spoke, and it's like I really did. And then I said, this is too much. I need to move to the wilds of Oregon and, I don't know, live off the land.
Alexa and Siri will find you.
Yeah, exactly. They'll all just find me. There's satellites. They have all the means. It's like, oh, golly. But anyway, so yeah, Disney Plus. I fought against it for a long time because I either had the movies on that Blu-ray disc, or I could find them on Prime or whatever, either for free or for a couple bucks. Then I think what got me was the Spider-Man movies. No, it wasn't Spider-Man because those are definitely not there. I forgot what got me to just finally cave and get it. Oh, I know what happened. No, I don't. Never mind.
There was one you didn't own before Spider-Man. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, and then I was like, I'll do a free
Black
trial.
Panther or something maybe.
Might be Black Panther.
Might have been Black Panther, perhaps. I don't remember. But it was only available on Disney Plus, and then I kind of caved. That's what happened. And now I got the mouse ears and Mickey and the Roadster Racer.
And then I got you for life.
That's it. Well, at least I had Hamilton. I could watch that again, so that's fine.
I keep meaning to quit Disney Plus, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, right.
I do want to.
As soon as Hawkeye's done, then another Marvel show will come out and you'll have to watch it.
I haven't watched Hawkeye yet, actually. At the time of this recording, there's already 2 episodes out, and I just haven't bothered yet.
I'm surprised.
Maybe I keep forgetting. I got my Hawkeye Funko Pop now. I'm all good. I don't need any more Hawkeye.
I was very happy when I saw that for you, because you've been just clamoring for that original costume.
Yeah, they made it.
Yeah, my wife and I are watching Great British Baking Show. It's almost over as of today. And I thought it should be over today. So it should be the final. And then Discovery, cheesy Star Trek Discovery. We're cornballs. We just love it. It's great.
Star Trek I've been watching Star Trek Enterprise, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and then now that I've got Hulu again, I'm going to go watch Stargate Atlantis.
My wife will defend Enterprise. She defends it.
It's a good show. It's a really good show. First season's a little tough, but then it 2, 3, 4 are grade A quality.
Do we slip into a What Are You Playing episode?
Yes, we did.
So what we're gonna do for this episode is we're gonna do the rankings of our movies, but Mike had the idea to do a little bit more differently instead of just us naming our number 23 and going from there. We're gonna go by the Rotten Tomatoes ranking and then tell you what that was, and then tell you where it fits in art.
Yeah, the definitive ranking. You got to have it.
Yeah, based on the tomato meter, which of course is the source of all truth and honesty on the internet. It's such nonsense. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
I got the list in front of me. I copied the text you sent me, Mike.
Good.
Into a Word.
They've got it all updated, so it's got Phase 4 and stuff in there, so I had to go in and weed those out, get the numbers right. But I'll be arguing their list very, very early on, it looks like.
I don't think I will, but yeah, Mike, do you want to start us off?
All right, we'll start with their number 23, which they consider the worst movie, is Thor: The Dark World 2013 with 66%.
I think these bottom two are probably the ones we've talked about the most because Thor is so forgettable, and spoilers, 22 is The Incredible Hulk, which is just a running joke if you've been listening to the show long enough.
So even though I just said it, I think we should say where Thor: Dark World falls. We'll take the movie, then we'll say where it falls in our ranking. That makes the best way to do it.
So where does it fall for you there, Michael? Or Mike, or whoever
20. Oh, 20. I'll go first. 20. Yeah. There 20. Are 3 movies worse than Thor: Dark World.
Well, we already know what one is based on your interest.
Man.
It's a movie that...
Oh, go ahead.
It's just not... I don't hate it. It's a bad movie, and it's forgettable, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about you, Michael?
I flip-flopped the bottom two, so Thor is actually 22, Thor: Dark World. And it's kind of the same thing. Like I said from the top that I'm here for the explosions and the one-liners, and Thor or Dark World doesn't really deliver on either one of those. Like the coolest part is the portal section, the big fight with Malachi at the end, or what's his name? The Dark Elf. Who knows? There was a villain in this movie. Something like that.
It's a movie that you can't remember. It's completely forgettable, completely unnecessary in any shape or form.
It's an excuse to make the put the reality stone in there.
Indeed.
Yep.
And for me,
last time we got
go ahead. Yeah, the last Portman. For
now.
For now.
Did you say portmanteau?
I didn't, but I wish I had. That would have been wonderful. That would have actually been clever. For me, I'm exactly the same, I think, as Michael. Thor: The Dark World ended up second from the bottom, number 22 on my list, beat out only by what I think I'll be the same as Michael as well. The biggest sin one of the biggest sins a movie can commit is being forgettable, like being completely sum zero. Not bad enough to be interesting, not good enough to be interesting or entertaining, just complete snorefest, boring, zero. And Dark World is that. The only reason it's not at the bottom is because it does at least do a little bit with the characters to move the entire MCU along. You know, you have some more interplay between Loki and Thor. You have the red goop, which is the reality stone, of course. And that's basically it. The Aether, there you go. That's basically it. So other than my bottom pick, which of course is completely devoid of substance or value, that's the only reason why that didn't hit the bottom. It's just unfortunate.
Okay. And I'll read the critic consensus what's on this thing that you sent me. It may not be the finest film.
Consensus.
It may not be the finest film to come from the Marvel Universe, but Thor: The Dark World still offers plenty of the humor and high-stakes action that fans have come to expect.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't, though. Wow, consensus. Because and it's actually rated as a positive because on the tomato meter, if it's anything above a 60, I think it's rated positive. But they never really say what positive means because every critic has their own set of metrics. Like one could be like, 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. One could be 0 out of 10. IGN's, 9.3. So all those averages really don't statistically work. I mean, it works in a grand scheme of things, but a lot of times like this, I can't see any critic walking out of Thor: Dark World being like, hey, that was a satisfying entry into the MCU canon. Like, I don't think so. I can't imagine that, or nearly at least not enough to make it.
I did when I first saw it.
And it's neither here nor there, but Thor isn't the bottom anymore. Eternals is now 48%, and the only thing on their list that's unfresh, according to their rankings.
It's interesting because Eternals is, I've seen it. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it is thoroughly bland and forgettable. Like it suffers from the same Dark World scenario. It's gorgeous. It's pretty to look at. I mean, there's some scenes in that movie I want like a print of, like to put on the wall. Like it is beautiful, but it's hollow and thin, and no one cares about the characters or anything going on. So want to Eternals, but
like really Jane Foster, she's hollow and thin.
Yeah, she does nothing there. I'm scientist gal.
She's got the only laugh I remember. I don't even know if I call it a laugh. It's more like a derisive snort. Is where she keeps seeing Seabass over and over again.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember from this movie.
It's pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember.
Stanley's cameo. Was like, can I have my shoe back?
Oh, that was pretty funny. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't remember any of that. But again, that's this movie. You just don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and number 22 on Rotten Tomatoes is The Incredible Hulk 2008. Mike, where does this fall for you?
This is dead last because, as Bill was kind of alluding to, this clearly is not meant to be part of the MCU, and it does nothing to further the story. And sorry, Hulk fans, but he's not really interesting enough to carry a movie.
He's not.
No, especially not. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one, but the Ang Lee Hulk I actually like better than this one.
I've never seen it. I can't speak to it.
I've seen parts of it.
We'll have to cover that sometime. It's not great by any means, but I don't know. It does more interesting stuff than this one does.
Bill, what about you?
Oh, Hulk, I'm exactly the same place as Michael. That was my dead last, and that was the movie that for all the same reasons. It does nothing to it not only is it just a extremely dull superhero movie, as was the time, as is like that early 2000s, mid 2000s, hold over to that era. It does nothing to further the MCU. It does nothing for the overall arc, because let's be honest, these movies kind of sort of have to connect to the main story. It's part of the thing, and it's and how well it does so has to factor, because it's just part of the overall thing. I actually hemmed and hawed if I should include how it fits into the MCU into these rankings, or if I should just look at them as objective films. But I kind of have to. It's just, again, it's all part of one big package. So it doesn't factor too much. I would say it's like a 10% factor if I had to do that, but it definitely enters in. And Hulk does nothing. Like, there's none of the characters. Like Ross, I think, is left over. He continues on. That's it. And it's such a dead zone movie that most people, if you talk to them about the MCU, they say it starts with Iron Man, which is correct, and then they forget Hulk even existed.
Yep, pretty much.
So they just don't realize. Oh, that's really that one's part of it too. Oh, okay. So
with a little asterisk next to it.
Although it did have some decent little junior body horror. I always got a kick of that with the big monster, spines breaking and such.
Abomination.
Well, Abomination is coming back in the Hulk show, that She-Hulk show that we're getting soon.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be finally another tie from that movie, but yeah, no, none of them like the girl who Steven Tyler's daughter, Liz. Is it Liz Tyler?
Liv
Tyler. She doesn't. I mean, she wasn't even the what if. Like, she didn't voice her character. Nothing. Like, she's been done. Like, this movie wasn't even supposed to be part of it. It just tied it together because Iron Man made so much money. Yep. Oh, and for me, it is number 22 on my list.
Okay, it's basically the same as basically hovering around that bottom slot. Yeah. And of course, go ahead for the last time on this show, potentially.
I still make this joke to this day that he should not have been able to get from Guatemala to America like he did when he just put his hand out and someone gave him a quarter and all of a sudden he's in America. I will never let that go.
I was actually going to put together an FAQs of this entire journey, and one of them was going to be how many times you've made that joke.
Oh God!
But I just ran out of brain space and time. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but, like I had originally had the thought of going back and finding all of our shelf stacker box for each of them. I'm like, that's too much homework.
Yeah, I was going to look into it and see how many times I said smart people doing smart things. You know, that whole that trope. But again, I decided against that. So
yeah, well,
so number 21.
The dedicated listener.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on, real quick. One last thing to say about Hulk versus the Incredible Hulk is in Incredible Hulk, all he does is fight soldiers and then eventually Abomination. In Ang Lee's Hulk, he fights mutant dogs at one point, which is way more interesting than anything in the Incredible Hulk.
Yep, I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. Number 21 is... Oh, and I should read a critic consensus.
Yes. Smashing.
The
It's great.
Incredible Hulk may not be quite the smashing success that fans of Marvel Raging Behemoth might hope for, but it offers more than enough big green action to make up for its occasionally puny narrative.
Occasional.
I completely disagree, but okay.
He also
Yeah.
sneaks into like the secret lab by giving the dude pizza.
Yeah.
Stellar.
All right. And then number
Fantastic.
21, I'm going to read the critic consensus before we do our little reviews, is Iron Man 2 2010, 72%. And the critic consensus, it isn't quite the breath of fresh air that Iron Man was, but the sequel comes close with solid performance and an action-packed plot.
Fresh air. It's a blast of carbon monoxide from the end of a vehicle. Are you kidding me? Fresh air. Yuck.
I'm going
It's a
last on this one.
Okay, I'll go first. For me, it's number 21 on my list. So it's right above Hulk and right above a different movie and right below Thor Dark World. Because Thor Dark World was more entertaining than Iron Man 2. It tries to set up so many things, and even this movie has one of the best actresses ever, Scarlett Johansson, it just doesn't do it for me, even though she's super hot in this movie. It just doesn't do it. The movie's just boring, it's stupid at times, the villain is lackluster, it's just not good. There we go.
I had this on mine at number 17. This actually topped the C tier because I've organized things into tiers: A tier, B tier, C tier, and trash tier. I've almost talked about my entire trash tier. There was only like 3 movies in trash tier and 4 in C. Iron Man 2 tops out at 17. Sam Rockwell papers over a lot of sins in this movie. Oh boy, does he. And I don't think it's terrible. I think it's got some redeeming moments. I do like Mickey Rourke. I think is a pretty decent villain. The biggest problem is that they're all really stupid and dumb. There's no powerful villain here. They're all either, it's either Mickey Rourke pretending that that's just not really caring about anything. He has no passion except the one time in the beginning where he roars like a fake Norse god. But other than that, like there's really no passion to it. And it's definitely a big letdown from the original Iron Man. It's hard to compare films between each other because that's not fair, but it's C tier for me. So 17 on my list.
Okay. It's higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
This is number 8 on my list.
What? Wow. The first shocker.
Like, because I did the same thing as Bill. I sorted them into 3 tiers, and this one is my meh tier. And it tops the meh tier. And of those that I would sit down and actively want to watch, this one I feel like I have the most fun with. I don't know if it's because so early in the MCU, maybe I've got some kind of nostalgia for it, but stuff like the football suit and War Machine, seeing him for the first time. But yeah, it kind of continues that trend of the villain is something that the hero is just evil.
Right.
That started in Iron Man 1 and then Hulk did it and now Iron Man 2 does it too. But I don't know. There's something I love about this movie. Sam Rockwell is a terrible, smarmy villain. I hate that guy, and that just means he's a good villain because you're supposed to hate him.
Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, this tops out my meh tier at number 8.
Okay.
That's funny. All right.
I know Mike is going to disagree with this next one.
Oh,
So,
yes, absolutely.
Number 20, I disagree with this one too, is Avengers Age of Ultron 2015, 76%. And the consensus is exuberant and eye-popping. Avengers Age of Ultron serves as an overstuffed but mostly satisfying sequel, reuniting its predecessor unwieldy cast with a few additions and a worthy foe. And Mike, where does this fall for you?
This is not number 20. Oh my God.
I know.
It's so low. Like, I know people hate this movie. Yeah, this is number 2 on my list.
Wow.
I love this movie. This was my
we know you
favorite
do, yeah.
for the longest time. I get that people hate what they did to Ultron because he's supposed to be this emotionless robot that's set out to kill, but I think giving him any kind of personality is kind of fun. I don't think a villain without a personality would work in the MCU, especially one written by... I think this is another Joss Whedon one.
It is.
There was no way he was going to let that go. But I don't know. This one's fun. It does kind of overstuff, but I don't feel like anything gets kind of hampered because of it. I don't know.
No, nothing wrong. I mean, you enjoy it. This was actually the movie why you joined the podcast, or this part of the podcast, because you're like, when you do Age of Ultron, I want to be on it. And I'm like, well, do you want to just join the whole thing? And you're like, sure.
Yeah, as far as explosions and one-liners go, this one delivers.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
This ended up number 8 on my list. This is at the very bottom of the A tier. If you had asked me before seeing it again, I probably would have put it like low C, almost trash, but not quite. I think the most important thing with this movie is the consensus says it's overstuffed. It's just got a lot to do. Like, it's got a lot to set in motion. You got Sokovia, and you have all these characters that you're trying to establish connections with, and you have Scarlet Witch you're now introducing, and it's just got a lot to do. So I think if you look at it in the context of the entire MCU, if you don't like this movie, I would recommend seeing it again, now knowing the entire over arc, because it does hit a lot harder. There's an Ultron, I think, is a fantastic villain. I love the fact he's got a personality. Tony Stark builds all of his tech with personality. That's what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense that the evil AI would have it as well. And I think, is it James Spader does the voice, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
He's fantastic. That dry delivery, the idea Ultron's just doing all these evil things because he has to, because it makes logical sense. It's just, that's how it's computing in his brain. It's very scary and very, I think, interesting concept, right? How do you, he can't be reasoned with because his logic dictates to do all these evil things and destroy all the people. So I think some of the action scenes are a bit overdone, but I don't know. This time around, I really dug it and enjoyed it. And again, one of my favorite scenes being Hawkeye in that building with Scarlet Witch, basically giving her the pep talk, but the dad pep talk, like, snap out of it. Like, if you're look, I can't babysit you, so you can either sit here or you can do something. Either way. And I love that so much. It's one of my favorite scenes in that film.
Oh, and then the following scene of her walking out of that church and just tearing ass. Holy crap.
Just wrecking.
She's so awesome.
It's a good movie.
I love her so much. Anyway,
I think we all three shelved it too, right?
I think I did. Yeah,
I can't remember. For me, I ranked it number 15 because I do enjoy this movie. This is also the only movie that we ever get this Avengers team like as a unit in that first part of this movie that you'll never see again in the entire MCU. And for that, it was so good. Like, I can't remember a whole lot. I actually been meaning to rewatch the movie, but I really enjoyed it. I know when we watched it last time, I actually really liked it. So I know it's 15, but it's only because I like the other 14 movies a lot more. But everything from about 16 on, I enjoyed in this list.
Did it open with the assault on Hydra? Is this the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See that? Oh gosh, that whole scene is phenomenal.
My only issue with this movie is that it's missing 20 minutes of a movie because Disney said, get that out of here, even though he wrote it and it fit.
Oh, right.
That's the issue with the movie, because there's supposed to be a scene that describes more about the pool and how he got there and why he's there and Loki's involved, but it confused the audience. They cut all that out and left
dopey
certain parts in, which don't make any sense still.
Yeah.
This is our first glimpse of the Stones as a unit in that scene.
Yeah. I wish they would release the Whedon cut, like release whatever else was filmed and put it together. Like,
you're gonna start a new hashtag, but then no one cares about this movie, so
no, it's not gonna happen. All right, and that brings us to number 19 on this list. Thor 2011, 77%, and the critic consensus is a dazzling blockbuster that tempered its sweeping scope with wit, humor, and human drama. Thor is mighty Marvel entertainment.
Human drama.
Oh, Bill, since I know you're a big fan of this movie, where does it fall on your list?
It's funny. You would think it would go higher. I had it at 16. Like, kind of like you said with Ultron, there's just 15 movies I like more. I do like Thor, though. I have a real soft spot in my heart for Thor. I don't have a soft spot in my heart for stupid Padme and stupid Thor making smoochy faces in campfire. Like, but other than that, I do think it's effective. Again, like I've said on the show, on that episode, I think, the whole Shakespearean drama part of it is very endearing to me. It's overwrought, and I'm kind of here for that in a Thor Asgard kind of world. I know I'm in the minority of that particular opinion, but I do kind of enjoy Thor. Again, I just wish it, and all the fish out of water stuff is great. Anytime he's interacting in the Earth, present day Earth, or whatever it is, present day Earth. Anytime he's interacting on Earth with people is just really fun, entertaining. Yeah, I enjoy it, and it's at the very, very bottom of my B tier though, because again, that whole Padme Thor thing is just terrible. Stinks.
I'll go next. For me, it falls into number 13. I really like this movie. I have always been a fan of this movie. When I first saw it in theaters, I was like, this is pretty damn good. And I didn't care about Thor. We rewatched it for the show. I enjoyed it again. Now that we're done with this completely, I might go back and rewatch it again, because I just enjoyed this film. It's a good film. It's a good introduction to a character a lot of people didn't really know. It made me actually like the character I did not care about one bit before this movie. So yeah, it's a good film, I think. And what about you, Michael?
It's number 17 for me. It also bottoms out my middle tier.
Higher than I thought it would be.
I mean, the majority of what Bill is saying is that I don't care for pretty much anything that's not on Earth in this movie. It just feels slow and clunky, and it's not what I'm here for, despite the cool frost giant fight. I guess that's fine. But the fish out of water stuff is amazing. Chris Hemsworth as Thor is hilarious in this when he's just acting like an idiot. When he goes to the pet store, it's like, give me one of those large enough to ride.
That's a good bit. He's
Man,
good.
You guys both sidestep talking about Darcy. What's the matter with you?
Oh, I forgot about her. I really did. Not a fan of Darcy. She's not great.
She's fine. She's better in WandaVision.
She's probably better in Two Broke Girls.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't know about that. I've seen part of that.
So.
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen it either. Just naming a thing I know.
But yeah, the movie's fine. It just beat out the thumbs down tier. So
okay, that's about right.
All right. This next one should be interesting. So number 18 on their list, Iron Man 3, 2013, 79%, and in consensus with the help of its charismatic lead, some impressive action sequence, and even a few surprises. Iron Man 3 is a witty, entertaining adventure and a strong addition to the Marvel canon.
Charismatic my ass.
Really?
And since I know I'm the most positive, I'll start. This ranked on number 16 for me, so right below Age of Ultron. I hated this movie when I saw it in theaters. I thought it was complete bullshit. I was so upset after I saw it with Avengers, and I was just like, this is stupid. And then when I rewatched it for the show, I somehow enjoyed it a lot. Like, I actually, other than some of the really dumb comments like, hey, I'm going to do what your dad did, and he drives off, like, fuck him. But and so the fact that it was about PTSD and about suffering, like what happened to him, and like and the other issue with the movie that worked for me this time is it feels like the wrap up to the Iron Man shows, like it's the end of Iron Man, even though he's going to be in 6 more movies coming up soon. But it's how it feels, and for some reason it ended up 16 on my list. What about you, Michael?
Oh, this movie sucks. Like I stopped the charismatic because, like as we said in that episode, they undid everything they did in the previous 2 Iron Man movies, like where he was this selfish asshole and then he kind of turned himself around over the course of those movies. And then this one, they completely undo it. He's just this dick to everyone he talks to. The only redeeming factor about this movie is the house party protocol at the end where he's got all the other Iron Man suits flying around.
Yeah.
That part's awesome. It's the only reason that it's number 20 on my list and not lower. This movie sucks.
What about you, Bill?
I have it at 21. It's in my trash tier.
Okay.
It's the final film in my trash tier. So my trash tier is Iron Man 3, Dark World, and then Hulk. You guys said it basically everything you need to say about it. It's charismatic. He's the worst, this guy. He stinks. All the mean things he's saying to children, the way he just hand waves PTSD. Oh, well, I guess I'll just build something.
Yeah, that's how you figure out something.
That's how you figure out your mental illness. Sure, forget about medication and therapy and 2 years of work. No. Just build something. Grab a Lego set. No, he stinks. The action isn't terribly good. I don't even love the Rock'em Sock'em robots at the end. It's visually impressive, but there's no stakes. There's no threat. I did like seeing Pepper show up and kick total ass at the very, very end, which was fun because she's always been kind of not a damsel in distress because she's obviously very successful and important. But to see her actually do something physical and really save the day is pretty awesome. Yeah. There's a couple of decent little bits in there. Oh, and of course, we're talking about Iron Man 3, just the insulting, just annoying, idiotic Mandarin reveal that I've heard many people defend over the years now, and I don't see why. And the answer to them is like, well, you just like the comic. I haven't read a comic book since I was like 16, hanging out in a comic book shop with my friends. It was because I was hanging with friends. Like, I have no connection to these characters. But the ham-handed slapdash way they just I don't they like
it didn't bother me as much when we rewatched it for some reason.
Oh, it's like as if you're just like throwing jokes at a dartboard and hoping it hits, and none of them do because you're not good at darts. It's the absolute worst, and I loathed it. That really just sunk that film for me.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that this is the worst Stan Lee cameo, where he's just this gross old man and a beauty contest judge.
This lecherous creep at a beauty contest. Yeah, 10. Ugh, stinks.
But this movie did turn me on to a movie called Omniboat, which I still have not seen, but I have to at some point. Gotta talk about it.
You gotta do Omniboat. That's right. This was the Omniboat episode. How funny.
I forgot about we spent like 10 minutes talking about Omniboat.
Oh, it's great. I want to watch Omniboat.
I think it was something like ridiculous like that.
That's awesome.
Cool.
All right. And one last thing to say about Iron Man 3 is this was a Tony Stark movie, not an Iron Man movie for the most part.
Yes.
That was my other
I'm
issue
okay with that. I'm okay if that's what we're doing here. I like exploring a character, but
when we rewatched it, I wasn't when I first saw it.
Yeah.
All right, and then Rotten Tomatoes number 17, which I do not agree that this should be this low on the list. Captain Marvel from 2019, 79%, and critic consensus is packed with action, humor, and visual thrills. Captain Marvel introduces the MCU's latest hero with an origin story that makes effective use of the franchise's signature formula. Well, that's true.
Yeah, it's an
Mike, where's
origin
this fall
movie.
for you?
This is number 4 on my list. Like,
Wow.
this movie's a lot of fun. I'd love to see a female character just goes out there, kicks ass. I know we just talked about with Scarlet Witch, but she's pushed so to the side of Age of Ultron, and she doesn't really come into her own until WandaVision. So to see a title character come out and just come out swinging is awesome. She does a lot of cool stuff in this movie. And it's cool to see her interactions with young Nick Fury before we know him as the cynical asshole that he turns out to be. He's kind of the, I don't want to say starry-eyed new guy, but he's not the same Nick Fury we know later on. So yeah, number 4 seems fitting. Plus, Brie Larson's awesome.
Yes, she is. What about you, Bill?
You know, it's funny. I may get flamed as being a sexist pig out there on Twitter land, but I have this ranked as number 13 on my list.
Oh, that's not bad.
I agree with everything Michael has said. I agree with everything. I think the action's fantastic. I think it's got the jokes really land. Most of it lands really well. Even the scroll reveal is really good, or that kind of turn. I don't know why I can't, in good faith, rank this higher, though. I don't know. It's weird to me that I can't, because the other 12 movies, I think I just enjoy a little bit more. And that's really where it lands. It's not the movie's fault. And these middle tiers are really hard because these can change based on the day. Like if I watch Captain Marvel again today, that might shoot up to A tier and knock other things down. But as it sits today, it's a 13, but don't feel bad. I'm sure you're not feeling bad, Brie Larson. I'm sure you're perfectly fine with my rankings. I'm sure you could care less. It's just, that's where it's got to sit. But Michael encapsulated it very well, so that's basically it.
Okay. For me, it landed number 7. I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters. I enjoyed it when we rewatched it. I think it's just a really good film. I mean, yes, it does follow the formula of, Marvel, but that's fine. I mean, it's still a very entertaining film. I think a lot of people I know have issues with it because of her, but she does a great job in this. And hey, how many actresses can get up and wear high heel shoes and sing a song about, God, I can't even remember how the song goes all of a sudden, but yes, in a black dress and sing, and be a part of a Demon at Clash Head, So hey, any movie with her in it's going to rank high for me.
It's a white dress, Clash at Demon Head.
Is it white dress? Wow, black boots, isn't it though?
That I don't remember.
I need to rewatch that movie again. I'm trying to make a Scott Pilgrim reference. I'm failing horribly.
I don't understand the Clash at Demon Head reference. What is that all about?
That's the name of the band she's in.
Oh, really?
It's an NES game. Well,
yeah,
in the movie.
It's an NES game. I kind of love that game.
All the bands from the original comic were named after games.
Oh, really? Oh, neat. Okay.
All I can remember is "Hello again, friend of a friend." I don't remember the rest of that song. But there was a point where I listened to that song constantly, her version for just that's all I listened to when I was driving to work for 20 minutes. Just listen to that same song over and over. I don't know why, but I was at one point. I got 2 days. Got
all the feels.
So, that movie. We'll cover someday. All right, and then, but yeah, so me, it's number 7. It's a good film. Definitely watch it. And so we're bringing to their number 16. I completely disagree with the placement.
I'm sure you do.
Yep, I'm sure you do.
Captain America: The First Avenger, 2011, 80% critic consensus with plenty of pulpy action, a pleasantly retro vibe, and a handful of fine performances. Captain America's solidified old-fashioned blockbuster entertainment. And I have to go first on this one. This is my number 1.
Wow, I didn't expect it that high. I did not expect number 1.
Yep.
I loved this film when I saw it in theaters. I actually saw it early in theaters. I had gotten like an early screening for it. And when I watched it multiple times since then. I saw it for the show and we watched it back then. And I just love this movie. It makes me feel so good. It's one of those movies where I want to cry. I want to laugh. I'm just so it's just so damn good. And I think it makes Captain America, it shows who he is as a character from the comic, and it makes him into an amazing character, and it's just such a great film. Tommy Lee Jones does a great job. Haley Atwell, that's Atwell, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your girl, you don't know?
Hey, so many. There's more women in my head than grains of sand outside,
Oh, jeez.
There's no sand outside. That's part of the joke. And FS6. But So yeah, it's a great film, and I might go rewatch it now that after this soon because I need to go see it again. What about you, Bill?
I had this at number 14. So,
Okay.
14 for me. It's a very good introduction to Captain America. I love the retro aesthetic. I think it does a lot of really good things with Steve Rogers developing his character. But in the end, it is a intro movie. Stakes are on the low side. I despise Redface. It's been very well documented. I don't like Redface. I think he's a terrible villain. It's fine. It all averages out to fine for me. But I do enjoy it. And again, this is one of those tough ones where, again, based on the day, it could be number 11, could be 10, could be 14. But yeah, I just not something I would actively seek out and watch again. I've had my Captain America experience. I don't really need it again. So,
What about you, Michael?
And bringing up the bottom, this is the first one that I have at the same ranking as the Rotten Tomatoes list. This is my number 16. It's just, yeah, Bill kind of nailed it. It's just like I can see why you like it, being a history buff and all that, but and a Captain America fan. But I don't know. He's a cool character, but this whole set in the past thing doesn't do anything for me. It's got some good laughs. And this is the birth of I can do this all day, which is amazing.
Yep.
But it's yeah.
It's a very the way I would describe it's a very workmanlike movie. Like it gets what it needs to get done in a good way. But this movie's not making it to upper management. It's just going to get its job done day in day out, and it does a good job. I mean, it should be commended for that. But it's not top tier for me.
Okay, I'm not surprised that neither of you guys both think that way, but disagree.
You sound strangely hurt, Mike.
Yeah, man. Expecting another
I
college
didn't
drop.
be that
For
low.
some
I knew it
reason.
wouldn't be anyone's number one, but I didn't think it'd be like,
You
over
got-
10.
I'm going to go back into the car and listen to more Clash of Demon Head, I think. After this
I think so. Friend of a friend. I actually knew the entire song word for word at one point. I don't anymore, though, because I stopped listening to it.
You
But
haven't seen
good
the
damn
movie
song.
like 40 plus times.
Yeah.
We're supposed to cover that movie soon. Maybe one day.
Yep. We did talk about that.
At number 15, I also don't agree with. This is too low for this movie. Ant-Man 2015, 83% critic consensus, led by a charming performance from Paul Rudd. Ant-Man offers Marvel thrills on an appropriately smaller scale, albeit not as smoothly as its most successful predecessors. Mike, why don't you go first? I know this is the movie you like, right?
This is number 12 on my list. It's kind of
Oh,
in the middling. It's like in the very middle of my list. I wasn't super into it the first time I saw it. I wasn't really into it on the rewatch. Like the small sets are cool where he's shrunk down, but I don't know. The three wombats are very annoying in this. Like they cleaned it up quite a bit in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I just feel like this one has more going against it than for it in my eyes. I don't know, I can't really put my finger on anything. That's probably why it's right in the middle of my list.
Okay, I thought you liked it more, but I guess the second one you like a lot more, huh?
Yeah, we'll talk about that
Okay.
shortly.
What about you, Bill?
I'm the same as Michael. I had it at 12. It's a movie I really enjoy. It's a lot of fun. But again, there's movies above it that I just enjoy more. But it's very imaginative, very entertaining. We will talk about it, but the second one does everything better, I think. But we'll talk about that. Yeah, I enjoy it, man. But it's a very slight movie. It doesn't quite stack up with the giant tentpoles, and I understand why some people may not like the crazy big ones. But unfortunately, the crazy big ones are exceptionally good and epic. It's just they are. That's just kind of how they're built. So the smaller ones just have to kind of slide into B tier. But it's towards the top of my B tier, right in the middle actually. And it's an enjoyable film. I like it.
All right, for me, it's number 9, actually. I actually put it above Ant-Man and the Wasp. I enjoyed this movie more. I really, really like this movie. I think it's hilarious. I think it captures the Ant-Man character well. I think it delivers a good, funny story. It makes you laugh constantly. And I like it all. I really enjoyed this film a lot. I think it's completely, it was a film that nobody was expecting that we got that's just really good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
And number 14, I completely disagree with. Completely. And I will
That's
go
weird,
last.
Mike. You already said you're number one. How can this one be number one too?
It must be number
number
2.
14 on Tomatoes list is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 2017, 85%. They must have, drugged people for that number. And consensus, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2's action-packed plot, dazzling visuals, and irrelevant... Is that irrelevant? Or is that
Irreverent.
That's not a word I hear very often. Humor. Add up to a sequel that's almost as fun, if not quite as thrillingly fresh as its predecessor. Bill, why don't you go first?
Thrillingly is not a word on Rotten Tomatoes. Thrillingly, don't put don't make that an adverb. That's not a. I mean, technically is a word, but we shouldn't be using it. This ranked in at number 19 on my list.
Good.
This is towards the bottom of the C tier. Just very distasteful movie. I think I liked it a lot more when I first saw it in a theater with people laughing, everybody enjoying it, which of course makes a big difference in how we experience these. Here I'm watching it at home with my wife who loathed it. I mean, just did she loathe it? Oh no, I'm thinking the other one that she loathed. We'll talk about that one in a second. But it's that it was just for every joke that lands, there's 3 that don't. Everyone, I forgot during the show, it might have been Michael who said everyone's trying to be Peter Quill now. Everyone's trying to be Star-Lord. No one has any personality anymore. Drax is borderline gross in how he treats Mantis, and there's one thing to be unaware of social Hughes. There's another thing to be a complete dick, and he falls into dick territory hard. The final boss fight is boring Godface, which is, listen, I was done with that in Star Fox with Andros, okay? That was the last time I needed a boss face to fight. And it's just not, again, for everything that lands, there's 3 things that don't, and very disappointed in the movie. The only thing I really love about it is the Yondu at the end. I thought that's still beautiful and it still hits hard. I think it's very, very well done, which raises it from trash tier. So, that's where I'm at.
Okay. For me, it's number 23. It is the worst movie in the entire MCU that I've ever seen so far. And I hate this movie. I will never watch it again. I have tried to watch it 2 times in theaters. Once I put it on, I'm like, I should rewatch it again. I couldn't even finish it, turn it off. I'm like, this movie's terrible. When I left the theater, I didn't enjoy it. I don't like the humor. I don't like the fact that I just feel like with Drax, they're making fun of someone that's autistic. So that irritates me. This whole movie is just garbage to me. And it is the worst movie in this series completely for me. I know people like it. And I know I'm not the average opinion of that, but I can't stand this movie.
That's fair. It's amazing. It's amazing none of us like this.
Yeah, I kind of echo Bill entirely. Like, it's also my number 19, and I definitely liked it better the first time I saw it. But I guess going back to watch these things with a critical eye kind of makes you notice things you wouldn't normally.
Especially when you're recording, episodes.
Yeah, well. And yeah, the only saving grace is Yondu at the end. And I think my favorite moment of the movie is when Ego admits to putting the tumor in Quill's mom's head, and he just kind of snaps him out of it, and his first thought is to pull his guns and shoot his dad. Like, that's steal Mike's word. That's pretty powerful to see that. But yeah, this movie is the humor does not land most of the time, the quote unquote humor. And as far as the consensus go, I will give it dazzling visuals because it does do a lot of that, like that scene of Yondu with his whistle stick killing everyone in the ship is pretty awesome to see.
Like that scene either. It's that whole part bothers me too. Whenever when you're thrown out the airlock.
Oh yeah.
Right before that bothers me a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, Bill said it best. Like, for every one thing that lands, there's 3 that don't. So yeah, number 19. It's down in the poo-poo tier.
Okay. And number 13, Avengers Infinity War 2018, 85%, and critic consensus. Avengers Infinity War ably juggles a dizzying array of MCU heroes in a fight against their gravest threat yet, and the result is a thrilling, emotionally resonant blockbuster that mostly realizes its gargantuan ambition. Okay, I'll go first then. For me, this lands on number 14. I enjoy this film. I still think it's a very good movie, and and it's the only movie really because they lose, because the Avengers lose. But again, it's one of those movies, as Mike has said many times in the show, and I'm sure he's going to say again, it's only half a movie.
Correct.
But I still really enjoy it. It's one that is tough to watch. Like, but it's very, very entertaining. Like, once I start it, I don't want to stop watching it because it's that enjoyable for me. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, but you want to watch the other half of it immediately.
No, I was okay. Sure. I didn't need to until when we got there. I didn't care.
It is absolutely half a movie, and I know that's from the most basic, the heroes can't lose mentality that I have. Like you said, it gets to the end and the heroes lose. Like, Thanos wins, and it's just like, it can't end like this, and they can't dust Spider-Man and make me cry every time. I don't appreciate it. But I don't know, this movie also always reminds me of the Siri mouth pain I had when we saw it in theaters, and that's not something I want to remember.
Don't worry, Mike. Sony will dust Spider-Man for you really soon. Don't worry.
Accurate.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
I have it number 5. I have it way high up there. I really like Infinity War. I've come around to Michael's point of view where it really is a companion film to Endgame. So if you rank Endgame high, then you should probably also rank Infinity War high because they are basically two halves of one movie. I love, but being its own movie, you have to judge it on its own merits, right? You can't completely attach it to its predecessor. I'm not sorry, to the movie coming after. I love that the fact that the good guys lose. That is so interesting and honest. And I love the end of this movie. I think there's lots of good action in between. I think there's lots of good setup. Infinity War tends to like blend in my brain with Civil War, the other wars, and all that. But I kind of read a quick like synopsis of it. I'm like, oh yeah, I loved a lot of this. And as they set up for the climactic ending that should be high on everyone's list, is it serves its purpose beautifully and does so with passion and emotion. I really do enjoy this movie. So 5 for me.
Okay.
Mine
And
was
that brings
15.
us-
I don't know if I said that.
Which number?
It was 15.
Okay, I don't think you did actually. So, but now we know.
Yep.
And number 12 on the tomato meter, Ant-Man and the Wasp, 2018, 87%. Critic consensus: a lighter, brighter superhero movie powered by the effortless charisma of Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. Ant-Man and the Wasp also a much-needed MCU palate cleanser, which is true. It came out. I
Yep.
think it came out right after Infinity War too.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, you needed it after that. Mike,
Just
why don't
such
you go
a-
first?
Yeah, because Infinity War is such a downer of a movie, as we said in that episode. But this is easily my number one. This movie is such a blast
Wow.
to sit through and enjoy. You mean wow? You didn't know that?
I was like number one. I knew it'd be high.
I wasn't
it's number one.
I wasn't gonna guess 1 actually too, but I knew it'd be like top 4.
It's so fun, like all the humor lands, and we get to see a lot of cool visual stuff with the shrinking and whatnot. And Wasp is an awesome character, and Ghost is an awesome character, even if her motives aren't great, because it's one of those things where they could simply sit down and talk and get things sorted out and not have to fight. But that wouldn't be a very interesting movie.
Right.
The Southern gentleman with the building, it's not great as a villain goes. He's just kind of thrown in there, but I guess they felt they had to have an actual antagonist because Ghost kind of comes around in the end. And I would be hurt a little more. It'd be a number 12 on the Rotten Tomatoes list, but the 11 that are above it are also pretty great. So
Almost.
but yeah,
all.
this is number 1. It's great.
Okay, what about you, Bill?
I have it at number 11, right above Ant-Man at number 12. I do consider these kind of companion movies as well. So I just felt like I got to include them both. I do like Ant-Man and the Wasp better for all the reasons Michael said. Lots of fun visuals. The jokes, by and large, mostly land. Paul Rudd has some redemptive qualities to him. He's really doing the right thing. There's, what's the name of the FBI guy who's constantly tailing him?
Oh, woo.
Woo. Woo's great.
Great.
I love Woo. Everything really works in this. And it's, again, though, this is one of those, it's upper in my B tier. I was just looking at my list for the 80th time. I realized I must be a basic bitch because, man, all the biggies are like up in the A tier. Maybe I just like big explosions and kabooms. Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp is so great. And again, anything that's kind of like 16 and above, I have a lot of affection for and really like. So I like a lot of this MCU more than I dislike. Ant-Man and the Wasp just had to sit there in 11. I can't, in good faith, put it above. Well, it's one movie I probably could put it above, but 11,
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
For me, it's also number 11. That's kind of funny.
Hey!
I enjoyed this film a lot. I think it's a really good film. It's funny. It's entertaining. I could definitely watch it again, and it's lighthearted, and you need lighthearted after what you just went through.
I will give it that it has no agency on the rest of the MCU. It has no bearing on the overarching plot, but that's
That's
fine
fine.
too. It's as I
Well-
said in that episode, it's smaller stakes.
Well, isn't the end teaser or the end thing,
Cliffhanger, yeah.
the cliffhanger
Yeah.
does factor heavily
Yeah,
into
well.
Endgame? But yeah, other than that, you're right. It's a completely separate side story, which I like. I like the side stories.
You too.
yeah.
And then brings us to number 11 on their ranking. Doctor Strange, 2016, 89% critic consensus. Doctor Strange artfully balances its outraged source material against the blockbuster constraints of the MCU, delivering a thoroughly entertaining superhero origin story in the bargain. Bill, if I remember right, I think you were the
Yeah.
one that liked this movie the most.
He's the Cumber bitch.
I am the
Okay.
Cumber
You want
bitch.
to go first?
Yeah, I have it at 10, right above Ant-Man and the Wasp. As much as I love me some Cumberbatch, it's great. I do enjoy this movie so much. I love the mysticism. I love Benedict Cumberbatch's performance. There's some stupid things in this movie, though, as we discussed on the show. Namely the surgery. When
Yeah.
pushes him out the way and just letting him in. Hey, just come on in. Just have a lay down on this open bed in the MCU in the ICU. I love the mysticism. Again, I love Wu. Is that right? The character. Who's the character?
Wong.
Wong. Thank you. Wong is phenomenal. He's so good. There are some blemishes though. The way he learns the mysticism so fast. But again, that's just movie trying to move forward. Has some of my favorite poignant moments, which of course is with Tilda Swinton as she's about to die. I think that is just that's a top 10 moment in the MCU in my opinion. And yeah, I love all the Inception world bending. It's really fun until it gets to the point where you can't see what the hell is going on, which happens towards the end of that movie. So there are some knocks against it which knock it down, but yeah, number 10.
Okay. For me, it's number 12. I did enjoy this film. It's a film that I don't need to watch very many times, but it is a fun film. It's definitely a very unique movie too. When it comes to the MCU, it's yes, it followed the same formula of Iron Man, but it's a fun film. I enjoyed it. I'm excited for the sequel. I think the sequel will be really good. What about you, Mike?
I'm right in between you guys at number 11.
Hey, there you go.
It's just kind of fine. Oh, wait, no. Nope, I'm sorry. The Rotten Tomatoes is number 11. I'm number 13, so I'm below you two. Wow. I got two lists open. I keep looking between them. It's throwing me off. Anyway, it's fine. The visuals are cool, like Bill said. But I think explaining that Dormammu doesn't know what time is really interesting. It was a cool way to basically get him to give up through a battle of attrition.
Yep.
Although it's painful to see Doctor Strange die over and over again during that scene.
Yeah.
Wong is awesome and continues to be awesome from what I understand in his future appearances. But
have you?
No, I have not. That'll probably happen this weekend.
Okay, good. It's good though.
But like Mike said, it's not one I need to go back and see multiple times like some of the other ones.
Okay. Then we get to a movie that one of my favorite movies of this entire MCU.
I'm surprised this is this low.
It's crazy.
This movie is just, I also think, just like almost a perfect movie. Like, I don't understand how Captain America the Winter Soldier is number 10 on this list. 2014, 90%, and critic consensus is suspenseful and politically astute. Captain America the Winter Soldier's superior entry in the Avengers canon is sure to thrill Marvel diehard. I'm going to go first in this one because I have stuff I have to say. One, this is number 2 on my list. To me, this movie was number 1 for the longest time. It wasn't until we did the rewatch. I'm like, I just love First Avenger. This movie is so damn good. It affects where the MCU is going to go because it gets rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. It turns everything with Hydra. It has Scarlett Johansson with wonderful hair. Like, everything about this movie is amazing. I love this movie. And I know I saw it in theaters. I loved it when I was with one of my exes. And I remember she got it for her kids to watch. And I was watching. I'm like, oh, my God. And I remember she looking like, what are you, an idiot? And I'm like, it's Captain America. And she, it didn't make her think higher of me. That's for sure. But it always just sometimes stuck with me, too. Like, I'm like, he's Captain America. Of course he can do it. I love this movie. This movie is amazing. And it should not be number 10 on this list.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
See, this is the thing. I'm looking at this list, and the next 3 entries are all 90%. And I think they just sorted them by the release year because this one came out first.
Yeah,
so it's at the bottom of that. But still, it's number 3 on my list, so it doesn't even belong down here with the plebeians. For all the reasons you just said, like the action always works. I don't feel like there's a boring moment in this movie, even when it's just him and Natasha like walking around this abandoned military base. Like, there's still cool stuff going on. We get to see Zemo as he's supposed to appear in a monitor, which is kind of cool. Nice nod for the comic nerds.
Yeah, it was.
There's not much I don't like about this movie. That's why I ranked it so high, I guess. As this is the purpose of this stupid thing.
What about you, Bill?
This is number 1. This is
nice.
Top of the list. This is top tier. It's extraordinarily close to my number 2. I mean, I flip-flopped them 18 times. I just had a hardest time picking one. But in the end, Winter Soldier won out because not only is an extremely efficient movie, again, like everyone said, like, the action's phenomenal. Zemo's great. Is this the one where the King Wakandu, the king, gets blown up? Or is that different?
No, that's Civil War.
That's Civil War.
That is Civil War. Okay, sorry. So I didn't forget that.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a really just extraordinarily good movie, and it matters to the MCU. It's important to the overall storyline. And like I said, I gave that the 10% edge. And that 10% edge is why it's above my number 2. But it's really just a extraordinary movie for all the reasons you said. Yeah.
I love the banter between Black Widow and Steve too. It's like, hey, you should talk to the chick in accounting. She's got a nose ring. I don't think I'm ready for that.
It's so funny because again,
they're
yeah, go ahead.
That's great.
I was gonna say you have this major tentpole movie. Winter Soldier is a major film in the MCU. It's not quite the tentpole like Endgame or anything like that, but it's up there. And the filmmakers are extraordinarily good at slowing down and let just Steve and Scarlett just sit in the car and talk and build character through interactions and dialogue. And that is so refreshing. I love the baseball cap bit. I think might started there. No one notices me. It's, I don't know, just such an extraordinary film.
Since you brought that up, I've been watching the show You, which I do not recommend if you have any type of trauma with stalking. Do not watch that show. But the guy constantly will sneak around by putting a baseball cap on, and people act like people don't recognize people. Well, hey man, it's you. And they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know how I got here. Like it doesn't work for him all the time, but it makes me laugh.
Funny.
We just look like ourselves at a baseball game.
That's great. Back to Ant-Man.
All right, and then number 9, Captain America: Civil War 2016, 90%. Critic consensus: Captain America: Civil War begins the next wave of Marvel movies with action-packed superhero blockbuster boasting a decidedly non-cartoonish plot and the courage to explore a thought-provoking theme. Mike, why don't you go first?
Yeah, they kind of nailed that there. It is very non-cartoonish. This movie is a bummer of a movie.
Yes, it is.
The only reason that it is number 9 on my list is because of the airport scene. That whole fight is awesome. Plus, we're introduced to Spider-Man, even if he's not the best Spider-Man, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's a bummer of a movie. Like, it's not what I want out of a superhero movie. And I know that makes me a basic bitch in that regard, but I'm okay with it. I know what I'm here for. I know what I like. And this is not it. But it's still number 9 because of that fight scene. So
It's still high.
Yeah,
it's up there.
It's in the top 10.
What about you, Bill?
I had this at number 8. Again, this is such a huge, big tentpole movie. I agree with the consensus. The first time they actually got it right.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of pathos and a lot of drama, which I'm very much so here for. The action scene, again, that airport tarmac is just extraordinary. I love the way it's framed and paced because you have these heroes. Basically, I love how Hawkeye and Black Widow are kind of like, are you gonna hit me too hard? Almost joking as they're kind of going at each other. There's a lot of sadness in this, and the idea of this splintering due to ideologies is very honest and real, and I think it's handled very well. It takes its time to cement those themes of these two people, of Tony and Steve, just breaking apart because they're just different people and they believe different things. And there's not much you can do about that schism, about that split. That never, except for Endgame, of course, everyone gets together to fight the big bad. But in the end, it really does linger for quite some time in the major canon of things. So, again, it's one of those movies that has to do a lot, and it does nearly everything well. So, yeah, 8 for me.
And the fact that they couldn't call it an Avengers movie because they're not really the Avengers.
Right, exactly. Not really.
And let's be real, Bill, the only reason it's this low is because of the kiss between Captain America and Agent 13.
Could you stop? Please. You could have just taken that whole scene out.
Yeah.
I had to start it. I'm glad you did, though. I appreciate it. And for me, this one is number 19. I despise this movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I do not like seeing superheroes fight each other, as I said on off, I'm sure many times in that episode. I've seen this movie about 3 times, and I can't handle the fact that they fight each other and they fight each other with something stupid that could have been prevented, and it bothers me a lot. But the movie's good. It's a good film. It's just not for me.
So are you saying we're not going to cover Marvel Rise of the Imperfects?
I'm glad that's a game. That's a bad game.
Everyone's favorite Marvel fighting game.
It's one of the worst Marvel games I think ever made up there, at least in that era. So yeah, I'd cover it. All right, and that brings us to number 8. This one I don't understand. Spider-Man: Far From Home 2019, 90%. Critic consensus: a breezy, unpredictable blend of teen romance and superhero action. Spider-Man: Far From Home stylishly sets the stage for the next era of the MCU. What movie did they watch? Because none of that describes anything that we watched.
Unpredictable is a word they chose to use for this movie.
I don't know.
Mike, why don't you go first?
This is number 18. This is at the top of my poo-poo tier. Like, it's another one that I know I didn't really care for when we saw it in theaters, but the rewatch that we just did here a month or 2 ago is just made me realize how much I really don't like this movie. It's barely a Spider-Man movie. He doesn't get to really truly be Spider-Man until the last 15 minutes, which are cool. He does some cool stuff during that, very Spider-Man-y stuff, but it's kind of like Iron Man 3, where it tries to be more of a Peter Parker movie than a Spider-Man one, and I don't think even that fires off well. Because like we said in that episode, it tries to be 2 movies and doesn't really succeed at either one of them. So it's not one I plan to go back and watch whenever I do rewatches.
Yeah, that'll be years from now.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
I have it at 18 as well. And I actually, as Michael was talking, I kind of moved my list around a little bit. It's a PowerPoint slide, so I can just move the things around. I had it lower, but I moved it slightly up because one movie had to go down. We have not discussed yet.
Okay.
So far from it's just like you said. It doesn't have rules. It breaks all the rules. It doesn't set any rules up. So when you have these scenes, and again, this may be context. This may be if I was sitting in a theater with a bunch of fans, they're all like, "Yay, Spider-Man! Yay, Mysterio!" I may have not noticed these, but again, sitting at 10 o'clock at night with my wife on the couch watching this, I'm like, nothing makes sense. Even the visually spectacular moment when Mysterio's confounding Peter, I jumped up and said, "What is going on? Let's stop this. What is happening here?" I probably would have turned it off at that point, but my duty to the show overtook all my anger. It's just a mess, and I do like the high school stuff. I actually really do enjoy that, but it's just really oil and water, like we said in the episode, just doesn't mix at all, and it's a very big disappointment. I have no clue why this is. Maybe only like 20 critics saw this and 18 liked it and got 90%. I don't know, but it's really baffling that this is that high on the list.
And this is the one that your wife loathed watching, right?
She hated this, and she hated another one that we're going to talk about that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah. I'm with her on that one too.
All right. And the funny thing is, this is also my number 18. Also, all 3 of us agreed on a movie for the first time.
So funny. Look at that. It had to happen at least once.
I don't enjoy this film. I know it's not a Spider-Man movie. It's like Mike was saying, it's mostly a Peter Parker movie, and it's just not good. It's more, and it doesn't set up the rest of the MCU. It shouldn't. This movie should have been later, like a couple years later. I know it came out quicker than it should have because of contract. And Black Widow should have been in this, and Endgame should have ended Phase 3, and it should be the end of our conversation, not a fucking Spider-Man movie that's just like, Tony died. We don't care about Black Widow or anyone else, but Tony died. I'm like, I got issues with that. So yeah, I don't like this movie. And this will bring us to...
Hold on. It's 50% a Peter Parker movie, 30% a Tony Stark movie, and then the last 20% is Spider-Man. Like, it's more Tony than it is Spider-Man. Which is just baffling.
Tony Stark villain.
He's already dead.
Spider-Man is pretty much an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this whole movie, so...
Basically,
unpredictable.
The Spider-Man movie should have been called Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, like the old cartoon, but instead, first one was Iron Man, second one was Nick Fury, sort of, and the third one is going to be Doctor Strange, I think. So, hey. Mm-hmm. But I am excited for that movie, so... And this brings us to number 7... Marvel's The Avengers 2012, 91%. Critic consensus, thanks to a script that emphasizes the hero's humanity and a wealth of superpowered set pieces, The Avengers lives up to its hype and raises the bar for Marvel at the movies. I'm going to go first because I have the most worst pick of this movie, I'm sure. This was number 17 for me.
Wow.
And it's only because because I haven't rewatched these movies. I haven't really I have to go by. I'm going by whatever the watch was at the time that I watched them for the show. I didn't enjoy this film. I loved this film when I saw it in theaters. I loved it when I rewatched it later. But when I watched it for the show, I did not enjoy it at all, and that's what I'm ranking this on. It's a good film. Man. I just did not enjoy it at all compared to many others. How about you, Bill?
This is the one I think I should have slid down the list further in favor of other movies, but I have it at 9, and I'm going to keep it there for sake of this conversation. It's a little higher than I ought to, as I'm thinking it through and really talking about your Ant-Man, your Captain Marvels. I'm like, ooh, this should go down the list, but it's here, so here's why. Notice the date on that, 2012. That is a very 2012 take on this movie. That's what it was in 2012. It's not what it is now, and it has really aged poorly. A lot of the jokes are very thin. It does a nice job, though, of establishing a tension between the team, and through that tension, you get cohesion. Kind of like, iron sharpening iron. You get the kind of idea of, they're going to become a team because of their differences, and I think that's very honest and real. I love Loki. Give me Loki all day. I'm just all about Loki. Hulk Smash is still good. It's still a very funny bit, and it still makes sense today. It has not held up visually. Oof. Yeah, well. Watch the Hulk Smash Loki around. You're like, oh boy, there's some rubber arms going on there. But in the end, the action's pretty satisfying, and it's the first time I incorrectly coined the phrase "space slugs." So, there's this one of the many stupid things I've said on this series over the last 23 films. So, 25 actually. But yeah, that's my place. I'm gonna keep it at 9. But I think if I were to redo this tomorrow, I'd probably put it lower.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I've got it at the highest at number 7, another one that I mirror the Rotten
nice.
Tomatoes list.
Okay.
I think a lot of that's just the novelty because there was nothing like this before of having heroes have their own individual movies and then coming together. It was such a spectacle to see on the big screen. And I definitely think it drags towards the middle when Loki's kind of pitting everyone against each other. And like we see that too often. It's like every Ninja Turtles movie where Raph and Leo have to fight for no discernible reason other than that's what they're supposed to do. It just kind of feels out of place. Like they're not a team at this point. I get it, but it hurts the movie, I think. But yeah, it's fine, and you get to see Hawkeye in action for the first time, other than the one
evil.
scene you had Thor. Yeah, he is kind of evil.
For the first half of the movie where he's, that bothered me too. I think that's another reason why the movie ended up.
Yeah, I was just say we figured out why Mike hates it.
I was mad when they did that.
The heroes fight and Hawkeye is evil. I mean, he did start out as a villain, so that's fair.
Yeah, I know. It's in that comic I never read that's above me. I'll never open that bag because the comic might disintegrate. He's the Iron Man villain in his first appearance and second appearance.
Yep.
All right, this brings us to number 6. Guardians of the Galaxy 2014, 92%. Critic consensus, Guardians of the Galaxy just as irreverent. We bring that word again. As fans of the frequently zany Marvel comics would expect, as well as funny, thrilling, full of heart, and packed with visual splendor. Mike,
The same author wrote both of these because the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is the other one that used irreverent.
Oh.
It's like someone learned a new word. They were going to get the mileage out of that.
Well, it was years later that he wrote the review, so he's like, they won't remember.
He's like, what did I write for the first one? Oh, okay. This is number 10 on my list. Like, it's probably the cheap movie that should not have worked on paper, but somehow pulled one out. It snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, I think. The humor mostly works because, unlike its sequel, it doesn't go over the top with it, which, man, we'll be talking about here in a couple movies. All the characters kind of get their own time to shine, and I don't feel like anyone overshadows anyone else. Even Groot, who only says 5 words by the end of the movie, gets his moment. It's good, but it's not one that I want to watch over some of these other ones. And now as I'm looking at my list, I kind of wish I'd put it a little higher. I would say I would probably put it at number 8 instead of Iron Man 2, but number 10 is where it is, so that's where it'll stay.
What about you, Bill?
I have it exactly as the list here, number 6. This is a very effective movie, and again, if you look at it in context, it was such a breath of fresh air at the time. And even rewatching it, the humor for the most part lands. The characters are fun and interesting. They develop them again through things they're doing and adventures they're going on. The ending, again, Groot's sacrifice is just beautiful and touching and wonderful. It's good to see Rocket have a turn towards the very, very end. Even the things that are on the goofy side, like dance, like I forgot what he said, but he distracts. Yeah, it's a dance off. What are you doing? That's still really funny. I get a kick out of it. It's good. It's a very good movie, and I don't know if I would put this lower after a rewatch or something, but I'm going to leave it at 6 because again, it was such a breath of fresh air at the time, and again, upon rewatch, I really had a good time with it. And it's got some flaws, but overall, I enjoyed my time with it quite a bit, enough to put it at number 6.
For me, it's number 3. I love this film. I think I'm actually watching the opening right now as we're talking. Like just the way that movie opens up with him playing not Michael Jackson song, just playing a song, singing the song, dancing, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And it's just hilarious. This whole movie, this is a movie that I can just watch anytime. I haven't watched since because of the show, but it's just such a hilarious film, and it's just so. And it's my number 3, and I love this. There's a movie that I came with no expectations at all, and I left happier than I could ever expect.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to this episode, I now know every time I hear the Pina Colada song, I think, I'm like, Bill would be upset.
I forgot about that. Put it at number 11. That's it. You lost 5 points for that atrocity.
And don't forget, ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga chaka.
Who can't forget the dulcet tones of a bunch of white Swedish people yelling ooga chaga. Yeah, great. It stinks.
I wonder if those songs are in the new game that just came out as of the time of this recording.
I don't know. They are? Pretty curious.
I was curious.
I doubt it.
Oh, I have no idea. No idea.
So that brings us to number 5. A Spider-Man Homecoming 2017. 92%. Critic consensus: Spider-Man Homecoming does whatever a second reboot can, delivering a colorful, fun adventure that fits snugly in the sprawling MCU without getting bogged down in franchise building. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill, why don't you go first?
I had this at number 15, which might be on the low side, but I'm going to stick with it, obviously, because I have to move other things around. This is a very good movie. I remember loving it when I saw it in theaters, like, just absolutely loving it. But my issue with Spider-Man, and Michael will attest to this, is that I can't look at these movies the same after Spider-Verse. I can't watch Spider-Man Far From Home or whatever, or Homecoming, and think, oh, wow, this is like amazing Spider-Man, because it's not compared to that. I know I shouldn't do that in a critical standpoint, but I cannot divorce myself from that fact that Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. So and arguably one of the best comic book movies ever made. So I like this movie a lot. I think it's a lot of charm, but for some reason, I just don't have a lot of heart to go and make this happen. And plus, there's lots of Tony Stark again. All the Tony Stark. He's always there. Hey, pal. Yeah, 15. That's where I'm putting it. Although I like it quite a bit. And again, this B tier, I still like all these movies quite a bit.
And I'll go next. For me, this one came in number 10. I enjoy this movie. I think it's a good Spider-Man movie. Well, it's good Marvel. It's a good Marvel movie. This not getting bogged down in franchise building. Come on, this movie's a freaking Spider-Man, Iron Man movie. Like, I don't get that. But I enjoy it. I do like it. I think it's a very good film in general. And it does do a good job. I just wish there's less Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mike?
That old licensing thing that we all love so much. It's like, you can't just make your own Spider-Man movie. Against all odds, this is number 11 on my list. Like, it's still Spider-Man, but like Bill said, every Spider-Man movie is competing to be second best at this point. And God, the fact that this had to be an MCU movie just kind of bogs it down. Like, I would rather have seen Uncle Ben die for the 80 billionth time and gotten another Spider-Man origin movie than Spider-Man and Tony's Power Hour, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Vulture is cool. Is a cool villain. They took a super goofy look and made it look cool, which
they did
somehow. And the twist of him being Liz's dad is also equally cool. And I'm going to stop saying cool now. But it's not what I want from a Spider-Man movie, and I'm kind of surprised I put it as high as I did.
Okay.
Let's talk about this trash heap.
Fuck, I'm going.
I've been
So
waiting
we're
for
number
this
4.
one.
Here we
Thor
go.
Ragnarok 2017, 93%. Critic consensus: exciting, funny, and above all fun. Thor Ragnarok is a colorful cosmic adventure that sets a new standard for its franchise and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm going first. I rank this movie at number 5. I love this film. I've seen it 3 times. It's hilarious. It's great.
Remember, there's somewhere I have to be, so I got to go.
It changed everything about what Thor was from the first 2 films, and it's the only reason why Chris Hemsworth stuck around because of the change of direction. And I think it is one of the best films in the MCU. Now for the negative takes. What about you, Bill?
This movie, this is number 20 on my list. This is at the very bottom of the C tier. It's not quite trash because it is a very well-made movie, but this is not funny. This is not fun. And Thor, we all realized very early in Thor that Thor works as a comic character. He is not, but he's not silly. The way Thor works is that he's serious and he's funny and he's quippy, but he's grounded as the king of Asgard, right? He's not Mr. Bean, where he's like slapstick, like throwing balls against windows. Like he's not supposed to be that. Like him as just a buffoon is so out of character and doesn't work. And every joke goes on too long. I get that's what the director's known for. The name is escaping of the director, but he did Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, thank you. He did Jojo Rabbit, which is supposedly extraordinarily good. I don't know, haven't seen it, but I just don't like that. And it might just be personal taste. And I know if I'd seen this in theaters with people, which I did not upon release, I would rank this so much higher because we'd all be laughing, we'd all be sharing the experience, we'd all be chuckling at the slapstick and the goofiness. But again, sitting at home with my wife, who 20 minutes in was like, "This sucks. I hate this. I hate this." She almost left. Like, I'm gonna go watch Great British Baking Show. It's just misguided, and I just don't think anything really works. You have an idiot named, what was the idiot who pulls out the machine guns?
Executioner.
Scourge.
Well, that's who he's supposed to
Scourge.
be.
You have a character. You wrote a film in the year 2017 with a character named Scourge. How did you? How?
He's from the
And the
comics.
villain's terrible. I've heard people defend the villain. Oh, she's interesting. She learned that.
She is. I like her a lot. And she's hot.
She learned that Odin. Oh, that's her. So her solution to that is destroy entire Asgard. Destroy everything. More power. That's what I want. It sucks. I'm sorry. I hate to steal Michael's thunder, but Michael, I'm sure you can go on longer. So fire away.
I've got this even lower at 21. This movie is, but I hate this movie. I hated watching it in theaters. I hated the rewatch. Like, I know I'm just going to echo a lot of what I said in the episode, but the fact that they undercut what would otherwise be awesome moments to just do more slapstick garbage humor it pisses me off. And like we talked about in the episode, that Odin just kind of becomes a footnote. They just kind of sweep him under the rug, but it would have been way more interesting to see Thor kind of make amends with his dad and to see Hela actually interact with him, and just like, oh, dad's dead, here comes Hela. Like, who cares? I need to stop.
The only thing that would made this worse is if Thor was running around with a turkey on his head for Thanksgiving dinner. Like, it's the fucking worst. I'm sorry.
The only reason this is 21 and not at the very bottom of the list is because of a single character named Korg.
Korg is
the only brevity in this movie. His humor actually works.
Yeah.
And we're not looking at Hulk's butt. And,
yeah, it's just, again, it's one of those things where if you look at humor in the other MCU, even Guardians of the Galaxy, not everything was a joke. Not everything was clearly written to be a gag. Not even a joke, a gag, right? Like Valkyrie falling off the ramp, right? And then she has a bottle in her hand, and I'm surprised she didn't slip on a banana peel on her way there, and then a 16-ton weight fall on her head. Like, that kind of like rule of threes, rule of fours. Like, you don't have to have that. Like you said, Michael, she could just walk down the aisle, walk down that thing, and start blowing people away. That would have been cool. It's called a break. It's called a rest. You can, like, if you go through the orchestra, if you go to a cinema, go to the orchestra, or I go to a concert. Everything in the concert is not, it's not like all brass and violins. There's moments where it eases up and it's calm. There's flutes and clarinets. Like, it's not all Sousa marches. It's I'm sorry. I can't.
I think in the episode we called it Thor One Step Too Far.
Yeah, I think it's right.
That's so fitting.
Mike, do you want to retort?
No, I mean, it's your opinion. I agree. I understand. You're not a lot. I mean, I know other people hate this movie too. I just enjoy it.
I know very few people who hate this movie, and I'm amazed that Michael and I
found two of them. Me
are
too.
brother. Yeah, we're brothers in this, in like trying to sell. Like, no, this is not good, y'all. This is not what comedy is. It's okay.
All right, and then next will be number 3, but I have to run away for 1 second to move a turkey, so I will be right back, and we'll keep going.
Okay.
I'll just edit all this up, so I'll be right back.
I hope you're not moving across state lines.
Don't put it on your head.
That's it. So stupid.
Oh man, the Mr. Bean comparison's gold.
Thank you. It's just slapstick. I don't know. And it's fun. Go ahead.
The ball thing. It would have been so cool to see him smash the window and leap out in dramatic fashion, but nope, we got a point.
Yeah, it's just, and it's out of character for like Thor. Like, it doesn't make sense that he would do that. It doesn't. He would just smash out the window. He's Thor, right? Like, that's what you do.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Mike actually said is that they changed what Thor is, but they made him worse. They made him completely devoid of what made him Thor in the first place.
It's an overcorrect. It's a massive overcorrection.
Yeah,
they turned him into a Guardian of the Galaxy, which he's
I guess he's another Peter Quill.
Yeah, again, yes, just another Peter Quill, yucking it up. So, oof.
God, I hate that movie.
I was just annoyed. I was annoyed nearly the entire time. Even Jeff Goldblum, who listen, who doesn't love Jeff Goldblum?
Apparently I won't need any of this out, huh?
He won't. Even
Okay,
Jeff
that works.
We're still going. Even Jeff Goldblum who everyone loves, beloved figure, is just Jeff Goldblum playing Jeff Goldblum in makeup. Ugh.
Yep.
The only thing I will say is the Hulk Thor fight is good. The Hulk Thor fight in the stadium, that's great. That's the redeeming value for me. And Korg.
Okay. And this will bring us to number 3, finally. Iron Man, 2008, 94% critic consensus. Powered by Robert Downey Jr.'s vibrant charm, Iron Man turbocharges a superhero drama with a deft, intelligent, and affectionate sense of fun.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go first. For me, this fell an 8. I enjoyed this film. It's been almost 2 years since we watched it, and it was the first one we watched, obviously. I don't remember it very well. I just remember that I enjoy it. So that's all I got about the movie. I enjoyed it, and it started something that was epic. So, what about you, Mike?
This is number 5 on my list. Like, they really took an asshole that you should hate and made him likable before they ruined it in Iron Man 3 by making you hate him again. I'll dig on that movie every opportunity I get.
That's fine.
But this kind of set a new precedence for superhero movies, because before this, the early 2000s were kind of the Wild West of superhero movies. You got mostly bad, like Elektra and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't know what it is about this one that kind of pulls away from the rest of those movies that we saw before, like even the Sam Raimi Spider-Man duology, because there was no third one. Fuck that movie. We talk about that some other time.
Well,
but yeah, Robert Downey Jr. nailed it. It's like, he is Tony Stark. He's probably the best casting in the MCU, and I know everyone's got their favorite of that whole shtick, but yeah, number 5.
okay. What about you, Bill?
I am at number 4. Even if you take away from the historical context of this movie, which, as everyone has said, it jump-started the MCU. It was the sea change that superheroes needed. And let's be honest, I don't think we needed any more, what was it, Ultraviolet, or or Dark Man. We didn't need any more of those. It's still an extremely effective and enjoyable movie. It's a tight script. There's no real fat on this script whatsoever. It does what it needs to do. It establishes Tony Stark. It has a pretty good antagonist, a decent antagonist. Again, still a holdover from the early years. Like this, it's decent. Obi is fine, but that's really not the point. The point is seeing Iron Man do cool stuff as Iron Man and have some friction to work against. And as that kind of it works in that regard. Yeah, I love that movie, and it's one I'll watch multiple times again on my Blu-ray player. At number 4. No, I'm not using Disney Plus. I'm going to watch a Blu-ray player. Damn it! I have a binder full of movies that needs to get used. So yeah, number 4 for me.
Okay.
Even if it did set that precedence of the villain is just the evil version of the hero, like,
It's still good though.
yeah, it's still good.
I might go rewatch it actually soon.
Warmonger looks cool, so they get a pass.
A character I never heard of until that movie. And I read
Well, Iron Man was kind of a character a lot of people hadn't heard of before that movie. You and I had Captain America: The Avengers, and beyond that, it was...
Yeah, he wasn't in that game, so. And that will bring us to number 2, Avengers Endgame, 2019, 94%. Critic consensus: exciting, entertaining, and emotionally impactful. Avengers Endgame does whatever it takes to deliver a satisfying finale to Marvel's epic Infinity Saga. If it was the last movie, then I would agree with this comment.
Yeah.
Does whatever it takes. That makes it sound so seedy. Like, we'll do whatever you want. Just like our movie.
Oh, Mike, why don't you go first?
This is number 6. Like, most of the movie is fine, but the only reason it's this high because of the 20+ minute fight scene at the end is just phenomenal. All the callbacks through the rest of the MCU, like, it definitely does feel like what the entire MCU has been building towards, and it's cool to see the payoff from that. But the rest of the movie is kind of not my bag, as Austin Powers would say. God, cut that out. But it's fine. It's number 6 seems fitting.
Okay. And I'll go next. For me, it's actually number 4. I think I love this movie. I saw it twice, once in theaters, and then I saw it 3 times. One theaters, once just on. It was on Netflix for a little bit, then I saw it again for the show, and it's just such a good film. And there's, and there were things that I didn't catch the first time I saw it, that when we rewatched it for the show, the third time I finally caught him. Like when when he gets ready to fight Thanos and he's like, I can do this all day, he doesn't realize that everyone's going to show up because they didn't think the blip worked. And it's just such a good movie.
He actually doesn't say that there.
What?
I think everyone thinks that he should have said, I could do this all day, but...
No, he didn't say it, but that's what he was. That's the moment of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But
he gets the same type of pose.
I almost feel like they left that line out because he knows that he can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm giving the writers too much credit, but...
Oh, hey, they're good writers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They wrote Winter Soldiers. So,
That's
hey.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, great freaking movie. What about you, Bill?
Endgame is number 3 for me. It's upon my most recent rewatch, it does get a little confusing when they're jumping between times and trying to get the stones, but all of the stuff that they do is very interesting and fun. There are also a lot of good callbacks. The Thor, again, I don't want to say fat Thor. It's a crappy way of saying it, but Big Thor is actually okay. I like that idea of somebody who's just given up and is just kind of dealing with the grief in a very negative way. So a lot of this movie works beautifully. And again, that 20-minute end scene, again, call me basic, but it is such a glorious conclusion to this saga. It is nothing but just yay after yay after yay. It just delivers on every promise. And the rest of the movie, the balance of it's excellent too. So you could not have filmed, I don't think, a better conclusion to a 20, and it is the conclusion. Shut up, Spider-Man. The conclusion to a 22 film MCU experience. I can't imagine anything doing it better. So yeah, that's number 3 for me.
Okay. And then that brings us to our last movie. Number 1 in Rotten Tomatoes, Black Panther 2018, 96%. Critic consensus, Black Panther elevates superhero cinema to thrilling new heights while telling one of the MCU's most absorbing stories and introducing some of its most fully realized characters. You go first.
It does do all of that, but it's not for me. It is number 14 on my list.
Wow.
Yeah, I can definitely see why people love it and what it does, but it like I said, it's not for me. So, but it is visually really cool. Shuri is awesome. I love her, and what's the name you always call the other chick, the one from Walking Dead?
Michonne?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she does a lot of cool stuff too, and the car chase sequence is cool. I'm doing it again.
For me, it fell at number 6. I really enjoy it. Again, I'm not the target audience, but just the fact of what that movie did, like the amount of impact it had for people, like that's something though. That was really something to see.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
It's number 2, and I was very, very close to putting it number 1. I mean, I went back and forth. I thought a lot in the shower about this particular placement. 1 or 2. Black Panther does everything perfectly. It's arguably the best standalone movie that's not like really super connected to it. It's got the best villain. I think Killmonger is the best villain in the MCU other than like Thanos, but especially of the side villains. It's the best. It's visually arresting. The scene in the casino, that's a single shot with Claw. I think it's Claw. Is a marvel of filmmaking. It's just a marvel of filmmaking.
Unintended.
Yeah, hey, there you go. His Black Panther's connection with his sister is great. Hey, Ragnarok, that's how you do humor. It's within relationships. You see, you build it through. Every joke lands. It's so finely tuned and balanced. It's just a tight, trimmed script. There's no fat on this, no fat whatsoever. I adore it. The only reason it's number 2 is because it doesn't have the connection to the MCU that Winter Soldier has. That's the only reason. It's that 10% that I put on this. Because it is part of a bigger story. I feel like you have to include that in because Black Panther doesn't really have a ton of bearing on the MCU, where Winter Soldier has lots of bearing on the MCU. Obviously, that's really the only reason. But man, if these were decimal points, like Winter Soldier would be 9.6 and Black Panther would be 9.5. I mean, it's a movie I adore, and I saw it for the first time for this podcast, and I'm so glad I did. It's just one of those I missed. And like Mike said, you can't ignore the historical context, right? The importance of it. Yeah, it's a historic film, but yeah, that's where I landed, number 2. I almost feel bad saying it because again, it could just really flip flop at any moment.
There's nothing wrong with number 2.
No, that's a good spot for it. All right, and that's all of them. That's all 23.
That's it.
Great. I know we talked about it before, but do you think we should list them all in order that we did them? What our rankings are still, or did people had enough?
I think we could just real quick. I don't have to no explanations. Just go through the list because we were all over the place.
Okay, Bill, you go first.
All right, I'm gonna start at the bottom. So the bottom is Hulk, followed by Dark World, 21, Iron Man 3, Ragnarok, Guardians 2, Far From Home, Iron Man 2. Number 16 is Thor, then Spider-Man: Homecoming. 14 is Captain America, followed by Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 10 is Doctor Strange. Number 9 is Avengers 1. Number 8, Civil War. Number 7, Age of Ultron. Number 6, Guardians 1. 5, Infinity War. 4, Iron Man. 3, Endgame. 2, Black Panther. 1, Winter Soldier.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
My computer is currently locked up, so I can see from 17 up, so I'll try my best before that. The bottom was Incredible Hulk. 22 was Thor Dark World. 21 was Thor Ragnarok. 20 was Iron Man 3.
I would say Iron Man 3, I think, yeah.
Yeah. 19, I think, was Far From Home. What else was down there?
Guardians 2.
Damn it. Yeah, Guardians 2. Those are all down in the poo-poo tier, and I can see everything else. So 17 was Thor. 16 is Captain America: First Avenger. 15 is Infinity War. 14 is Black Panther. 13 is Doctor Strange. 12 is Ant-Man. 11 is Homecoming. 10 is Guardians of the Galaxy. 9 is Civil War. 8 is Iron Man 2. 7 is The Avengers. 6 is Endgame. 5 is Iron Man. 4 is Captain Marvel. 3 is Winter Soldier. 2 is Age of Ultron. And number 1 is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
All right, I'll do mine real quick. 23, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor Dark World, Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Far From Home, Avengers, Iron Man 3, Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, Thor, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Spider-Man Homecoming, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Captain America First Avenger. That's it.
I think the biggest upset in sports terms is you having Civil War so low. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No.
Oh, yeah, Not anyone to listen to the show, maybe. Sure.
No.
Anyone that listens to this show knows me.
Funny.
Yeah, I'm glad to say that we're done.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we are done. Are we done?
I mean, I do want to cover more of the Marvel stuff, like the other movies. I do want to cover Phase 4 eventually. I do want to cover... It just won't be the same type of format where we get together and every month we do one. It'll just be here and there, I guess.
No, now they're not just movies. Now they're shows, too.
Yeah, and it won't be the same... I guarantee it won't be the same 3 crew.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty spent on this whole ordeal.
No, I get it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I gotta say, guys, thank you again for including me on this little journey here. This massive journey.
You mean this marvelous journey?
Yeah.
Hey, look at you.
20-month journey that we've been on.
Golly, has it been 20 months? Man,
we started this in just, I think, February.
February 2019.
For January, we recorded Iron Man 1, and then COVID hit in March. Like, okay, we're just going to record a couple, get ahead, because, and then COVID will be over in a month or two. Everybody's off right now. And then we kept recording, and then we were on track to have this finished earlier this year, but then stuff happened, and we postponed some stuff. And then we're finally done.
Yep.
Yeah. Very awesome stuff. Like I said, thanks again for having me on the show, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to more movie stuff if you choose to do it.
There will be.
Oh, yeah.
There will be more, just not... There are a couple different series I want to do. Like, there's Star Wars, there's X-Men. What else is there, Mike? The DC Animated Universe.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, we did the first one of that. There's the rest of them. But there's other things I want to do, but nothing to this magnitude and nothing like this ever again. So
yeah, because the DC one is at least only 16, which is a little better.
And they're shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
I mean, also the whole thing when I started this, it was because I had my other 2 co-hosts that were with me at the time, and we were trying to do a movie every month. They were getting kind of burned out with stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do the MCU movies, and that'll keep me busy for 2 years. And they were interested. I'm like, I have something to do, and then they quit a few months after I started it, first launched it. So I'm like, well, and then I became insane and recorded way too much. So we should go to plugs, I think. Oh, and one thing I do want to say, if you enjoyed this or want to hear, we have a review of every single MCU movie that we just talked about on the show. Go scroll through, you'll find them all.
I'm sure there are things in those episodes that we didn't say during this, so
yeah,
it's worth listening to.
Yeah,
indeed.
We went really in depth and break down every movie scene by scene for some reason. I thought it was a good idea. Bill, where can people find you at?
You ever have a point in your life where you get sick of saying your own plugs?
No, I don't know what that's like.
I know.
I can't. If I don't do it, who else is going to do it for me?
That's a very good point. I do a podcast called The Gamer Looks at 40. It's a bunch of stories that kind of track the history of video games from the very, very beginnings Right now, I'm recording interviews for the N64 era. Our own Michael K. Hughes had an interview, I think, last week. Mike Albertin will have something at some point, but I know he's a very busy man. But yeah, it's just a series of stories and recollections of the history of games, kind of getting to just telling stories about how many times I'm going to say history of games? Jesus. Okay. It's been a long day. So you can just check me out at A Gamer Looks at 40, Twitter, and anywhere you download your favorite podcasts. Hope I become one of yours.
Hey, I say your plug every week. Not that in-depthly, but I say it every week.
I appreciate that. I hear them, and I always get a little smile.
I have to. You sacrificed to do the MCU with me and other movies. I have to at least return the favor and plug your show.
Greatly appreciate.
Well, anyone
it.
as a friend of the show, I try to plug people
of course.
like that. But okay. Another thing I need to say: if you enjoyed the show, we have a Patreon. For as little as $1, you can go vote in our Patreon poll. I don't know what it is at the time you're hearing this because I'm releasing this in December. And I don't know. I haven't actually wrote down what December's thing is going to be yet. I should probably figure that out, considering today's the 27th of November. But hey, I got time. So definitely go there. You will be able to vote in a monthly poll and support the show. You get to support us. So please do support me, I should say. But it helps. It pays people like that, as they say. And the other thing I need to say is please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. We are on YouTube. Only audio, but we're on YouTube. People subscribe to us and get mad at us when we don't have Thor Dark World movie on there because they want to watch it.
Oh, you gotta look it up now and see what the views are. We gotta close this.
I'll click button.
This is there.
And I also want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fury. She made us an intro for us a little bit ago, so definitely go check her out. You'll see a link to her TikTok, so you can go if you want to hear more of her stuff. And I think that's everything I need to say, other than I need to figure out what Thor lands on. So I will be checking that as we're talking. Because a long time ago, it's been an ongoing joke with these where I put Thor Dark World on YouTube and people kept clicking and thinking it was the movie, but I think enough people figured out that it's not the movie.
Still,
so we actually have 34,052 views.
It's just I don't know. It's beyond the pale.
And they got rid of all the dislikes. It had over 80. It has 85 likes, and I'm one of them. But it had more dislikes because people were trying to, were mad that it wasn't the movie.
I love that it's Thor Dark World of the entire MCU.
It's great. It's just it's wonderful. It's not Endgame.
Because the cover art, I didn't use the logo. I used the poster at the time because I was still figuring out what to do. I think that's what also drew people in, thinking it might have been the actual film.
But Michael's point still remains. It's Dark World. It's not.
As I've said, people can't remember it. So they're like, what's this?
Ooh, a new Thor movie came out. I'm serious. I've never heard of it.
It's more like curiosity. Who would waste their time putting Thor Dark World on YouTube? I better click and make sure.
But the best thing is it's damn near close to the actual runtime. So people are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I movie too.
Yeah.
That's what's fooling people. If it was just like, 15 minutes, but no, like you said, we go scene by scene, exhaustively discuss.
Probably Disney's lawyers. Like, better check this one out.
Yeah.
We got to make sure they didn't put the actual movie up yet. Oh, go click on them again. All right. Yeah, so that's it. And thank you guys for doing this, and thank you guys for listening. I think I need to be done. When I planned this, I'm like, I'll just be an hour. I'll be done in an hour. 2 hours later.
Yep, that's about what I expected.
It's us. Yeah, it's exactly what I expected. So
I should have known better. All right, we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.